Hi, I'm Staged, and I think I'm going to call this series Gatecrashing. This is a pretty high MMR game between Elf and Nina, also known as Just a Sloth. Nina is down here on the blue Vanguard, Elf is up on the red Infernal. And I believe that Nina is top 10 on the ladder, might be a little bit lower right now, but this is very, very highly rated. At least 1900 MMR, I think, is where Elf is at, and Nina is probably somewhere up safely in the 2K range. Already a little bit of dog harass here from Nina. Let's see what the build is looking like. We haven't, this might be the 2 racks opener for Nina. They usually throw down both barracks at the same time. We've got a conclave opener here for Elf. And, alright, 4 workers coming out. This is going to be a command post first. They get the overcharge immediately coming out here and setting it up away from the Therium. So, just a more defensible position. I guess this is more common than I thought. I thought that players usually went for... And again, with the scrapyard available for the Vanguard, I can see why they would put up in a more defensive position. A little more dog harass here, but with the first Gaunt out, you do have to be a little bit more careful. Just trying to delay the expand as much as possible. This is going to be a conclave expand here for Elf. So both players getting their natural set up relatively quickly within the first minute and a half or so. But this is already up and running for Nina thanks to the overcharge and the stack build. So the question is, what kind of tech are we going to see from Vanguard? Is it just going to be bio? That does seem to be one of the strongest things. Are we going to see Lancers, Exos, or will we see the elusive mech coming out of this very highly rated Vanguard player? I think that might be a Spire coming up here. So if I'm correct in the silhouette here, we're going actually without a vault for the moment on the Infernal. Might be a second conclave. Basically expecting that there's a possibility for Hornet harass, because he hasn't managed to scout across the map yet, hasn't managed to get on the map, has no idea what's going on at all. He's been trapped in his base with 3 Gaunts against this dog. Oh yeah, that's going to be a second conclave. But meanwhile, first barracks coming down here for Nina. Starting to get the saturation going, moving on to a third as well. Very fast third. Definitely looking to play a longer macro-oriented game here for the Vanguard. Elf moving over towards the speed camp. To be able to take this cleanly, and I think he managed to dodge the dog scout. Killing off the flower to try and slow down the speed camp just a little bit, make it a little bit safer, make his damage higher without needing to control quite as much. First Fiend out. Should have 3 Fiends ready to go and going to move across the map. Keeping the speed camp untaken, that's going to prevent it from respawning as quickly, but also prevent making it as easy for Nina to know what's going on here. Nina scouting the back, checking to see if the trees have been cut. Vision camp has been taken. Now that should be visible to Nina. Knows where the army's at. Spots those Gaunts. 6 Gaunts, 4 Fiends. This is more than enough to make short work of the dog, I think. He's going to continue taking the camps here. 1 extra Fiend. We got 5 Fiends now, all of them pretty low. And this will be a turret just in time for Nina. You have the Biokinetics lab up as well, so we're going to start seeing some Exos moving out onto the map, putting a turret down in both of the Luminite lines, making sure that they can keep the area safe. Going to populate it with the Exo, actually, making the flat cannon. Usually I see the Buzzsaw a little bit more commonly, but if you want to go heavy on the Exos, then that's what you've already made. Look at this, look at this. Look at how many Gaunts we've got here. And now the Doombringer going to set up the drop into the natural, or possibly into the main, going right over the tree line, but that should have been seen by the command post. 1 Exo back here, stalling it just for a moment, going in with the Fiends onto the third. Potentially dropping? No. Just backing out, not finding an easy and soft target. Dropping now onto the Exo. A lot of damage here. Should be able to get some poke away at the turrets. Will that kill with the infest? No, not. Yes, it kills inside of the turret. I didn't know it worked that way. These fiends just doing a little bit of harass on the third, just keeping him honest, but with the flat cannon there, not going to be able to do anything. Meanwhile, you can see on the minimap, Elf has taken his third base over in the triangle. So we've got the difference here being that Vanguard has taken their low third base, that's Nina, whereas Elf has taken the triangle, which is a little bit more lucrative and easier to defend, but has a bit less of a natural progression, I'd say. It feels a little bit more intuitive moving on to the low ground and then out further east. Building up more white health on the Doombringer by landing. And just going so many conclaves in production. 4 conclave production for Elf. What do we have here? 4 barracks. Just going raw, straight exos here for Nina. As we start seeing a little bit more of a critical mass on these exos, Nina will be able to take some of the map. But right now, the threat of this drop is enough to keep her a little bit more passive. She's paying close attention to the map, might see the camp going down here, but has no idea with how many units it's been dropping. So just seeing that there's less of the map available. And finally cutting away at these trees, making a way over to the triangle for her fourth base. Speed camp taken here by Elf. Couple of Lancers here. I'm curious to know which upgrade we have first, if it's going to be the Quick Draw Hustle or the Kinetic Impact Armor, whatever it's called for the Lancers that gives them the extra move speed when they're attacked. Heavy saturation here on the third. Oh boy, here we go. A big army of imps coming in. We're gonna be seeing some flame on. It's the Fantastic Four, only I think it's more of the Hateful Eight, or however many imps we got here. It looks like about 12 imps. All right, everybody get ready for it. Imps going in. He's blocking off with the building, but flame on goes. Not making it. Big connection onto a couple of bombs, but not nearly as big as it could have been. Dropping the command or the sentry post as well. A lot of damage onto the command post. These Gaunts chunking away at it. The bounces are going to start taking out the bombs pretty quick here, but those Lancers do not take much damage from Gaunts. Starting to move in, chip away at this. They don't do much damage themselves either, but with that health camp, it's at least going to slow the damage. The Doombringer getting them out of dodge. That's going to save at least 8 of the Gaunts. Those Lancers are very, very fast. That's that Kinetic Impact Armor I was talking about. Checking to see if there's any more reinforcements to pick off, but there are not. This Doombringer might circle around and move on for the third. The sentry post is not finished up yet, and here, that's exactly what it is that Elf is doing. Taking his fourth while starting to try and harass the fourth of Nina. He's moving directly onto the Bobs with the overcharge. Loading back up, gonna make their way out of here before the Exos get in range. Maybe a little bit of harass. Now that Doombringer's gonna get out safely. And meanwhile, those Lancers are going in here and trying to harass the third. They have the chance of doing a bit of damage to those Gaunts, but with the Fell Hogs and the Shroud Stones coming up behind, they don't want to commit too hard. It is in the Vanguard's best interest to try and keep everyone alive for as long as possible, get that veterancy, but it's also not the worst idea to trade out if you can get some serious damage done. However, I don't feel like, I feel like Nina didn't think that she was going to get a whole lot of damage done with that push. So instead, regrouping, has a single med tech just to keep everyone a little bit more healthy. Might make a push here for the healing camp. Couple of Weavers over here as well. This is a big ball of units for the Infernal for Elf. Oh, that Lash actually whipped somehow, but there we go. Getting one Exo. These Weavers have so much health, and if this Doombringer just goes ahead and drops, we can get even more white health. The Doombringer actually moving into range, getting sniped down by the Exos. But here we go, starting to try and target fire onto the Gaunts. These Weavers doing a decent amount of damage to the Lancers. First one about to ready to fall, though. Gaunts still pounding away, but they're moving into the Lancers. The Lancers charge forward now onto the Gaunts, shredding the army. Those Weavers trying to do their percent damage to the Lancers, but not before most of those Gaunts are dead. It's just a couple of Exos now. Quick Draw hustling away. The Fiends chasing down, getting the surround possibly on the high ground ones, body blocking them in. A couple more Exos trying to get the damage. Gaunts here chasing it down. Trying to find anything that they can. A bit of miss micro on the camera here. Sorry. I'm only one man. Just taking a moment. Nina healing up. Macroing up. Taking the vision camp here. Do we have even more? All right, that's exactly what I was hoping for. More barracks coming down. Just improving the production even more. These macro cycles are about to get even bigger. Oh, this is a big ball of infernal units. I like the idea of just going with the Weavers here, trying to just pull apart the Exo Ball. And also, they're not horrible against the Lancers as long as you're up close with them. Big problem with Weavers is that they have virtually no mobility, but they are so tanky, and the percent damage is great against Lancers, with Lancers having almost 300 health. So 10% ending up being about 30 damage, give or take, which is really a magic number for Infernal. Brutes do 30 damage. Hellborn used to do 30 damage. Magmadons do 30 damage. Just everything about that race is 30. But here we go. Speaking of 30, getting close to 30 Gaunts here in the army, as well as a couple of Brutes and the Weavers behind. Those Weavers getting left behind, though, if they're not careful. Pulling the army back is Elf. Lancers charging in, looking for a favorable engage. They're not going to find it here. Flash whiffing, a couple of shots in the kiting here, taking out some of the Brutes up front. There's more quick draw hustling. Down goes another Brute. And here's the big engage. Oh my god, from the side, it's Flame On! Oh! That goes the entire army. Nina in trouble now, pulling everything back as quickly as they can. One last Exo falling to the infest, even more. A lot of trouble here. The army of Nina have been absolutely decimated. Trying desperately to rebuild, to reinforce. Elf is not willing to push upwards yet. Not sure how much Nina may have, but I feel like he has such a huge advantage after that great imp connection. Going to take an extra base here? Nope, just continuing to rally across the map, giving Nina time to rebuild, in fact. I think he just wanted to have a few more Weavers, and a few more he does. I think he has as many Weavers as he does Brutes. This is crazy. There's so much health in this army. At the same time, though, it moves so slow. But what does the Vanguard have to do against this? Hornets aren't going to do anything. Exos are just going to get pulled in piece by piece. This is just so much supply now. Oh, here we go. Flame on Imps going in, getting caught up a little bit. The shield on the bunker just in time, making a big difference. Exos moving forward, but I think that you can kind of just commit here, maybe. Instead, retreating, getting the lashes onto the Medtechs. Pulling an Exo out of position, but oh, man, really not willing to commit here. Going to lose a lot of Weavers with this, I think. Down goes one. Oh yeah, look at how much damage they do when they're focus firing. Nina picking apart this ball of Weavers. Now with the Weavers up front, actually saving them as well. There's a Vulcan that's pulled forward. Lancers on the front line, Weavers chipping away at it, doing a lot of damage here. Those Exos are exposed. They're kiting away, and here we go. Big flank from the Imps again. So many implosion hits. There's still a lot of Exos, and this is great position for them. We need to see these Weavers start getting pulls off, and instead, they do get a lash onto the Vulcan. Couple of Exos being pulled apart as well, but there's still a lot of body here for Nina. taking apart these gaunts. Weavers almost entirely eliminated. That's the last of them. And Elf forced to retreat with a couple of Weavers and Gaunts. Still a big army of Gaunts, still plenty enough to be able to defend. But the veterancy is starting to rack up on these Exos, and with the medtechs there behind them, it's looking a little bit rough. Still keeping these Fiends over in this area just to scout where the army goes. Spotting this rotation, going to move on to the level 3 camp. Could be a lot of Fiends here, but those Fiends are going to get absolutely shellacked by these Vulcans. Here we go, starting the engagement. Punching away at the Brutes. Moving forward, focus firing the Weavers. We've got a summon on the Shroud Stone. First Weaver down. It's a pull on the Medtech, that should be worth a kill. There's still a lot of army here for both sides. This is a Cold War. A little bit more of the map is controlled by Elf. Means the macro war is going to be important. The mains have mined out. You can see on the maps there's no Luminite in the main. We should be seeing the naturals go away soon since they started those at minute 1.5. And here we go, Imps moving forward again, but there's a lot of speed using the Medtech abilities to increase their move speed. Vulcan's getting some nice position, but Hellborn's coming in from the side here as well. Beautiful flank from these Imps. Those Exos are absolutely decimated again. Very little army remaining. They will be able to take out the Fiends here chasing them down. These Exos need to retreat to base quickly. The chickens are a bigger threat than the Exos, it seems. Nina trying their best to macro up. Starting to run out of resources. 3 mining bases right now. Meanwhile, we have 5 mining bases for Elf. This is looking great for Elf. He's got that late game Infernal army, got the Hellborns, has the Weavers, and so many Gaunts. Picking apart a couple of Lancers as Nina is desperately looking for a place to regroup. Even some Imps coming forward again. If the numbers get too high, we can flame on. We can make the explosions happen. We can be a true human torch, or infernal torch as it were. They're even taking this base up here with 10 Imps rallying over. I love it. Nowhere left on the map for Nina to go. Even these Bobs that wanted to expand, the Imps that were, or the Fiends that were in reserve, are coming out now, forcing the army rotation, and with that rotation comes a big push and a flayed dragon. Pushing up onto the high ground, down goes the post. The dragon infesting the entire back end, regaining all of its white health, setting up Fiends off the Bobs. Lots and lots of damage coming down here. The command post will fall, but there's nothing to be gained from that command post because the Luminite mine was expired. Meanwhile, Nina is taking the base at the bottom right. There's so many Fiends here, and those Fiends are going to make a beeline over there, I think. And once again, that's going to allow this multi-prong attack. There's 19 Imps moving to this Luminite mine. Every single Luminite mine on this map is being claimed, and so many of them are being claimed by Elf. Once again, a huge army rotation towards the right side as the growing number of Fiends threaten the last base, or rather the most recent base from Nina. And that means the entire major main army for the Infernal player moving on to the Triangle base now. One of the few remaining mining bases for Nina. There's only 3, it could be too soon. Vanguard army rotating over, being shelled by Hellborn. Trying to find any way of holding this, but it's not looking good. This Triangle base is soon to fall, I think, as the Hellborn continue their assault. Setting Picking up the Nano Swarm, going in fast, committing hard onto the Hellborn. These Exos and Vulcans. The Vulcan's getting stuck on the Exos. So low on health, loses one Vulcan. The Hellborn target firing on the Exos. Pulling forward another Vulcan, down it goes. And that's gonna be a GG. Nina leaves at 20 minutes in. And in quite the round. Elf shows why Infernal's not out of this game yet, even if the patch isn't favoring them so much. Thank you very much. This has been a fantastic game. I'd love to do some more of these. If you want to get your game casted, go ahead and send an email to me at stagesgreplays@gmail.com, or you can just post it in the Discord. I've got a thread going with the Stormgate content channel. Just ping me and I'll try to find something. All right. Thank you very much. I think that's all I've got for this game.